Hold on, please. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, able speakers, able excellencies, and welcome to our International Internship University Monthly Conference. And thanks to IIU for staging this conference. And this is the African Continent Conference for the month of April. Before we start, we are going to ask Excellency Dr. Patricia Gonde to give us the opening prayer. Dr. Patricia, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's bow our heads and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before your throne of grace this morning. Thank you for the gift of life. Thank you, Lord, for everything, for our families, for our friends. We come together today to discuss the important topics on corporate social responsibility, sustainable development. We ask for your guidance, we ask for your inspiration as we explore these issues and seek to understand how we can make a positive impact in our communities and in our world and in Africa, my dear Lord. May we approach this discussion with open minds and compassionate hearts. And may we be motivated to take action or to create a better future for all. Amen.
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 Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the International Internship University, which is a leading virtual education system and global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well-reputed in delivering innovative programs globally. And globally as well, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to providing better and virtual education to all the young learners around the globe. In a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Sir Peyush Pandit, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing educators and students from various social and cultural backgrounds sound education. The introduction of IIU began, and we are here for our monthly conference as the African continent. And may I welcome on this stage at this point, our Excellency, Senior Academician, Professor Charles, that will give us the opening address of this wonderful conference. We are glad to welcome you, sir, Prof. Charles Hibiora. Welcome on board, sir. May we have your word of wisdom.
My able moderator, God to elevate you and bless you, empower you for all the services you have been giving for humanity. I need to appreciate every one of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. You are welcome to this great occasion. I thank God for IIU have been sponsoring us, who have been helping us. Our able Sir Peyush Pandit has been a very nice brother, a friend, a leader, a great visionary. And I thank God for today, that God will make us and use us to showcase Africa so that everyone will be happy, as we ourselves are happy too. The topic before us is sustainable development and corporate social responsibility in international organizations. Sustainable development and corporate social responsibility are closely related business concepts that have greatly affected corporate governance in the early 21st century. Sustainable development involves the use of environmental responsibility or responsible and efficient operational practices. Corporate social responsibility involves balancing corporate citizenship and environmental responsibility to give back to the community in which they operate, which also support long-term business success. It will interest us to know that socially responsible companies preserve environmental resources crucial to future generations. It will also interest us to know that sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainability is a foundation for today's leading global framework for international cooperation in the area of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its SDGs. The Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 SDGs, which were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, with 169 targets to reach by 2030 or sooner. The goals and targets are universal, meaning they apply to all countries around the world. What are these goals? Goal 1 talks about no poverty. Goal 2, zero hunger. Goal 3, good health and well-being. Goal 4, quality education. Goal 5, gender equality. Goal 6, clean water and sanitation. Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. Goals 8, decent works and economic growth. Goal 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. Goal 10, increasing inequality.
I think it's
Hello, I think Prof is hooked. I think Prof has a network challenge. Dr. Patricia, am I correct?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, we will wait for him. As we wait for Prof Charles to join us, may I introduce the co-moderator alongside with me, Ambassador Shola Adeola, who is also from Nigeria. She will be joining me in the moderation of this program. You are welcome on the call, Ambassador Shola. Ambassador Shola, are you here? Can you hear me? Okay, I think she's still trying to join. I'm trying to send a message to Prof. Charles.
Hello. Hello, Ambassador Joel. Good.
Hello.
morning.
Hello, Prof.
Okay. While we wait for Professor Charles to join us, can we continue with other facilitators? Because network glitches cannot be predicted with certainty. So
exactly.
Let's continue. Then Prof can join us later.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Okay. Prof is in.
Oh, that's good. Awesome.
Welcome, Prof. We lost you a bit.
Hello, what happened?
We lost you a bit. We lost you a
please,
bit to your
Please
network.
try to make 3 people hosts. In case one person is out, we'll be able to. Let me continue.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Achieving the ambition of Gender 2030 for sustainable development and the sustainable development goals requires action on all fronts. Government, business, civil society, and people everywhere all have a role to play. We are expected to address the following. 1, the causes of climate change and adapt to its impacts, which is the climate. Support the sustainable management of our natural resources, the resources. Foster fair and sustainable economic. Build the capacity to act together on sustainability. Deliver insights that spark actions on sustainable development, that is engaging. To always stay connected for an updated report in the area of crisis of climate change, the nature and about diversity, loss, and pollution. To stay connected by the first to hear what news and learn about the latest research, events, and more. The role of corporate social responsibility in sustainability is very important. Companies are expected to be committed to the practices of environmental and social sustainability and to be good stewards of the environment and the social landscapes in which they operate. There are 4 factors of sustainability in corporate social responsibility. Sustainability initiative and action aim at the preservation of a particular resources, which refer to 4 areas: human resources, social resources, economic, as the 4 pillars of sustainability. Human sustainability, this is aim to maintain and improve the human capital in society, investment in the health and education system, access to services, nutrition, knowledge, and skills. Social sustainability, aim to preserve social capital by investing and creating services that constitute the framework of our society. Social sustainability focus on maintaining and improving social quality with concepts such as cohesion, reciprocity, and honest, and the importance of relationship among people. It also encouraged and supported by laws, information, and share items of equality and rights. Social sustainability incorporates the idea of sustainable development as defined by United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, addressing social and economic improvement that protects the environment and supports equality, economy, and society, and the ecological system. Economic sustainability aim to maintain the capital intent, that is, aim to improve the standard of living, when social sustainability focus on improving social quality. In economic sustainability, maintaining high and stable level of economics growth is one of the key objectives of sustainable development. Abandoning economic growth is not an option, but sustainable development is more than just economic growth. The quality of growth matters as well as the quantity. Environmental sustainability aim to improve human welfare through the protection of natural capital, that is land, air, water and minerals, etc. Initiatives and programs are defined environmentally sustainable when they ensure that the needs of the population are met without the risk of the compromising the needs of future generations. An environmentally sustainable business to integrate all four sustainability pillars, and to reach this aim, each one needs to be treated equally. Business needs should be maintained for complete sustainability problem to be solved in relation to all four pillars of sustainability, so as to make a strategic decision about it, so as to effectively incorporate the chosen approach into their policy and practice. There must be equity in terms of sustainability and corporate social responsibility. How? Sustainability has to do with fairness, whether all people have similar rights and opportunity, basic needs to maintain an acceptable quality of life. We must ensure sustainability and corporate social responsibility responsible. 1. Adopt a business code of ethics. 2. Follow a workplace health and safety program. 3. Commit to protecting the environment. 4. Get your suppliers know and meet your expectation in the area of fair pricing. 5. Be smart about donating money. 6. Don't greenwash your business. That is, use marketing techniques that are fair and that reflect your company's integrity. Avoid any advertising and communication that could be seen as manipulative and harmful to the public. Make sure you walk the talk and that your company does what it says it does. 7. Explore big corporate associations. Make sure that your organization meets high standard of transparency, accountability, and create positive social and environmental benefits. In conclusion, international corporate social responsibility has principles that takes the impact of your business on man, the environment, and society into account. International corporate social responsibility affects area by taking the business code into consideration, such as working conditions, the environment, the human rights, the preventing corruption, gender equality, corporate governance, occupational integration, consumer interests, and taxes. Note, companies are expected to play a positive role in the community and also consider environmental and social impact of the business decision. Corporate social responsibility brings value to the and generate positive impact to the community. Corporate social responsibility as the models in the area of responsibility, which have been said earlier: environmental responsibility, ethical responsibility, philanthropic responsibility, economic responsibility. I appreciate everyone that listens, and I thank God that we have some experts here who will tell us more about what I've said so far concerning the issue of our discussion. As we listen attentively, God will continue to bless us and empower us so that we go about empowering us too. Thank you very much for this great opportunity. Thank you, everybody.
Wow. Thank you very much, our senior academician and Professor Charles, for that wonderful introduction and exposition on the topic at hand, which has to do with corporate social responsibility. Thank you very much, sir. You've mentioned quite some great lessons: ethical, corporate social responsibility, philanthropy, social responsibility, and you talked about sustainable development how that as organization, we can all help to develop our world and make it a better place. Thank you very much, Professor Charles. We would like to welcome in the house as well our Professor Dr. Queen Elizabeth. You are welcome, Professor Elizabeth.
Good morning. Good morning.
She has an event. Good morning, ma. She has an event
morning,
that is starting
sir.
almost immediately. And as you can see at the background, is on relationship matters. I will give Prof. Elizabeth the opportunity to lend her voice on the topic at hand, but I would like to also welcome my co-moderator, Ambassador Shola, in the house. Ambassador Shola, please, welcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador Joel and everyone in the house. Thank you so much. I'm here, and I believe today is going to be a great section for all of us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ambassador Shola. Without wasting much time, I would like to introduce our Professor Dr. Elizabeth Lucas Afolalu from the United Kingdom. She is a mother, she's an advisor, she's a youth enthusiast, and then she deals with relationships globally. And then she has worked with so many people, personalities, kings, senior corporate officers. And at this point, she's here to share out of the wealth of her knowledge on the topic at hand, which has to do with social corporate responsibility and sustainable development in international organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, do welcome with me, Professor Dr. Queen Elizabeth Lucas Afolalu. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me to this great conference. I want to first of all give honor to whom honor is due, and that is the founder of International Intensive University, Sir Piyush Pandit. Thank you so much for giving all of us opportunity to come together, learn together, grow together, and also impact into other people, and also make a change in this world. So thank you, sir. I also want to express my gratitude to my mentor that is glancing on me at the moment, Professor, Senior Professor, Academician Charles Ebuara. Thank you, sir, for always being there and also guiding us and mentoring us and giving us the wisdom for us to do better in whatever we are doing. I also want to seize this opportunity to say thank you to Ambassador Dr. Joel Olaniyan. Thank you so much for including me, even though it's a very tight schedule this morning, but I want to say thank you, sir. And also Dr. Shola Adeola. I think she's also co-host of this event. So I want to say thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for inviting me. I also want to express my gratitude to every one of us that believe the same thing. We have the same mindset, and that is why we are here today. I want to give honor to God Almighty for Africa, because Africa is standing and we are progressing. And we all on this platform, we are working together and growing together and make Africa a bigger and better place to live. So I want to say thank you to all our great leaders on this platform. I will not start until I mention my sisters, my brothers on the platform at the moment. I want to acknowledge Professor Dr. Patricia Konde from Zimbabwe, Dr. Ismail Zelo, Professor Dr. Adeogun Joseph Kayode from Nigeria, Professor Dr. Marine Mia from South Africa, and Ambassador Tandedo Mofu. You are all welcome, and thank you so much for your great work you are doing. We are acknowledging it, and we appreciate your input into this African IIU continent. We appreciate you all. Keep up the good works. Only God can reward you, and he will continue to renew your strength daily and also keep you safe in Jesus' name. Right, the topic before us this morning is sustainable development and corporate social responsibility international organization. But let me be honest with you. I'm very simple, deliver simple message. Sustainable is just how we sustained ourselves, especially in terms of social, corporate, social, international organization. How do we connect? How do we network? How do we collaborate? How do we maintain the partnership and the relationship within ourselves? And I believe that everything should start from us. Number one, personal development. We need to develop ourselves. The way you present yourself in a social world, the way that people will accept you and respect you. So we need to be mindful of that we need to prepare. Also, the next one is to prepare yourself when you are going into connecting with others. If you want your business to be successful, you need to do more work than just a meeting. Commitment is very important. Determination is very important. When I say determination, you have to go where others are afraid to go to. You have to do what others are afraid to do. So you need to go extra miles if you want to be successful, and if you want to meet up the sustainable goals. Yes, we are talking of sustainable goals, but one thing that is clear, we are all unique. We are all different, and we are all very special. And all of us has one goal, one purpose. Every one of us has a dream. We have vision. The only differences between IIU and YYCI is because we are different and we are focusing on what we stand for. And that is what every one of us needs to have at the back of our mind. You need to show what you stand for. You need to let the world know what you believe. You need to let the world know who you are. You need to let the world know what are you bringing to the table, or which problem are you solving. So it's very important that we start with that, so that even if you are going to connect with any other organization, you have your dreams, you have your visions, you have your missions, you have your goals. So always stand on what you believe. Another thing I also want to add to this is, it's so easy and it's tempting for us to want to compete, copy, and compare. But do you know that our assignments might be similar, but they are different? Just as I am different from Professor Patricia Kunde, and I'm different from Professor Mia from South Africa, and I'm also different from my own mentor. Yes, it could be my mentor, but I'm different. We all have different ideas. What will make you to stand out in the society and sustain you is your uniqueness. In business, we call it USP. That means unique selling point. And your unique selling point, like, look at how I said it, unique, your uniqueness, your differences, your strength, who you are, and your assignment must stand out. So that even if you are connecting and collaborating and partner with others, they just see your uniqueness, your USP. And that is why you need to work hard to make sure that you are building that up. This is the thing, only thing that will sustain us in our businesses, in our organization, your USP, your uniqueness, who you are, your purpose. So let's avoid all this copying and comparing and competing, because once you start that, you are distracting your own self. You are breaking your own focus. And sometimes you might even put yourself down or even do what you are not supposed to do. And then you end up being frustrated. Or also, your health is more important. Health is wealth. So when you start competing and copying, you find yourself out of track, and then you'll be struggling. And that can make you to even give up on your business, or you look yourself down, or don't even believe or even doubt yourself. So it's very important that we all focus and determined to work towards it. So on this note, I would like to say thank you so much again for inviting me. I know I didn't say much, but this is not the time. Let's listen to all our great speakers. Thank you, sir, Professor Charles. I hope I've delivered. Thank you, sir, Ambassador Dr. Joel Olaniyan. And thank you to all my great friends. May the Lord bless you all. God bless.
Wow, that's very, very wonderful. A wonderful and concise speech. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Professor Dr. Queen Elizabeth, for this short but concise presentation on sustainable development and corporate social responsibilities. What I would like the audience to take home is the 3 key words you gave while you were talking. You mentioned something like a unique selling point, that we should be unique, and that we should avoid copying, comparing, and competing amongst ourselves. And it is only our uniqueness that can bring that difference. We want to thank you so much, Professor Dr. Lucas, for always answering the call whenever IIU calls on you. We know you are very busy, and even now you are going to another event. But we so much appreciate you, Ma, for your words of wisdom. It's always nice hearing you. And I'm sure Professor Charles is also grateful for you being here today. Thank you so much, Ma. And we wish you a wonderful event on the launching of the books by the young professionals that you'll be anchoring today. I hope to join you soon after this one. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much. And permission, please, to leave immediately, if you don't mind. Can I leave, Professor Charles? Please give me permission to leave. I know that sometimes I like to stay longer.
God bless you, Ma. It is well with you. God bless you. More strength, more energy. In Jesus' name. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. And I want to, and before I go, I want to see the smile of Professor Dr. Patricia. Oh, wonderful. Good.
That's wonderful.
Okay. Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor. Have a nice time.
Sir. I will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. We'll move to our next speaker. The next speaker will be our Professor Dr. Adeogun Joseph Kayode, who is an internationally sought-after keynote speaker, a multi-award-winning certified content writer, marketing strategist, communications and leadership coach, certified public speaker, and career counselor. In his capacity as a certified leadership and public speaking coach and career counselor, he had delivered no less than 100 keynote presentations and lectures at different online forums. What matters most for him is to make sure that the personal lives of people are changed. Their career is more enlightened. And he has done so many presentations that have challenged audiences over time. That's why he's widely regarded as the go-to source on leadership. I can personally prove this. He's a public speaking coach. He's a communication expert, an entrepreneur, and management consultant. As a seasoned and erudite scholar, he has 10 published books to his credit. He has written several articles and essays, which have been widely read. Some of his articles have been presented and published at editorials, reviews, opinion articles, and commentaries in over 20 different online, offline. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Dr. Kayode is presently the Pro Vice Chancellor, Africa Wisdom University of Leadership. He also doubles as the Professor of Leadership and Management. More so, he works as a lecturer at World Leadership University, where he lectures master's students on strategic leadership and management. His home country is Nigeria. He works as an instructor at Regis College of Mass Communication Technology, where he lectures on public speaking, new media, and digital marketing. Professor Kayode is happily married with children and is here to share with us on the topic of corporate social responsibilities and today. And then we want to welcome our professor. He's a dear one to me. Professor Dr. Kayode, you are welcome on the stage.
All right, thank you very much, my very good friend and dear brother. It is a pleasure to be introduced, especially by my dear friend. I really appreciate your work. I also want to appreciate your co-moderator, my very good friend too, Ambassador Shola. We call her Sojibra. So it's a pleasure to have you here today. I also want to appreciate my mentor and also the Vice Chancellor of International Internship University, Professor Academician Charles Eboria, for the insight he has shared on the topic of this conference. I would not fail to mention my mentor too, who just made an insightful presentation on how you can use your unique selling point to contribute to the attainment of the SDG goals, and also how you can have a relationship that can make you to stand out. So all protocol duly observed, I want to appreciate everyone on this call. I want to appreciate other moderators and facilitators that will be making their presentation after me. I listened to Professor Charles' presentation where he shared his insights. He has taken us through the 17 SDG goals and how it can be achieved, how a corporate organization can leverage on corporate social responsibilities to achieve SDG goals before 2030 as a deadline. So as have been rightly introduced, let me, as you can see on the screen, we have looked at the 17 Sustainable Development Goal: no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, and others. The last one on the list is a partnership for the goals. It's needless to repeat what my mentor has talked about as regard SDGs, but let me also mention that it is of interest to highlight the fact that the United Nations Agenda for SDG 2030, as you are rightly aware, started in 2016, although it was promulgated in 2015, and it is currently in its 8th year of progression. So we have less than 10 years, we have less than a decade to get this vision achieved. Now, the question is, and that is what my presentation will focus on, to examine the role of corporate organization in achieving the SDG through their efforts towards the Sustainable Development Goal, the environmental, the social and governance practices, and in the long run, corporate social responsibilities. So my focus will be on how business can leverage corporate social responsibility to achieve sustainable development goals. So I'm going to be focusing on just few areas that a corporate organization can leverage on to achieve corporate social responsibility or to achieve sustainable development goals. The first one is no poverty. As of 2015, the research carried out revealed that about 736 million people still live on less than $1 a day. And what that simply means is that in every 10 people, there is extremely poor person. So eradicating poverty is one of the most challenging goals to overcome. So for organizations to maximize its impact, it is advisable they choose to support educational projects, occupational trainings that focus on giving a hands-on instead of hand-out skill or experience. They should expose individuals, they should expose organizations and giving out scholarship so that this can be achieved or so that poverty can be reduced to the barest minimum. This way, they will help to break the poverty circle. And the second SDG goals that corporate social responsibility organization can annex is zero hunger. As it stands, nearly 690 million people are hungry or affected by hunger, according to the United Nations and the World Health Organization. So SDG 2, Zero Hunger, shows us a pathway to change the world by feeding our needy neighbors. So businesses, international organizations can make a big impact by providing free, nourishing meals. This will encourage parents to enroll their children in local schools, to sensitize children to attend school regularly, and also help them to concentrate better with their study. I'm recommending this to international organizations to give their support by providing free nourishing meals in their community. You need not to go too far. Look at your community where you notice that people are struggling with getting meals, nourishing meal. Go to schools, school of low income, to ensure that you use the opportunity at your disposal to achieve SDG 2, Zero Hunger. As you can see on the screen, it's very obvious that for this to be achieved, corporate organization is expected to ensure access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food for all. They're expected to end all forms of malnutrition. They're expected to maintain agrobiodiversity. They're expected to correct and prevent world agricultural tackle destruction. And they're also expected to ensure proper functioning of food commodity markets, in their community, and where they have the opportunity, to extend it to international community. It is a responsibility that corporate organization is expected to perform. The third one, the SDGs to be achieved is good health, well-being. Recent years have seen tremendous progress in increasing life expectancy and also in reducing child and maternal mortality. But do you know one thing? The numbers still keep us on our toes. For example, in 2018, an estimated 6.2 million children and adolescents under the age of 15 died. And it is observed that these are people mostly from preventable causes. all right, from presentable causes of diseases. So from providing mosquito nets to families in need of it, to sponsoring cataract operations to the sick ones, corporate organization can choose how they want to make a difference as far as the attainment of SDG Goal 3 is concerned, good health and well-being. So you are expected to join other corporate organizations, international organizations to help children learn about the Sustainable Development Goal through good health and well-being. Now, the chart on the screen is very, very clear as to low-income countries, you know, can help a younger population to attain good health and well-being. All right, then the next one, which is very important, is the SDG for quality education. In 2018, it is observed from research that was carried out that about 260 million children are still out of school. So what that simply means is that worldwide, more than half of children and adolescents do not meet the minimum standard in reading and mathematics proficiency. So education is a pathway out of poverty and the foundation for a better future. So hence, organization should sponsor local school scholarships, either partly sponsorship or full sponsorship, or to give to courses that build schools, that supply books, that train teachers in remote areas of the world. This is another way organization can contribute their quotas to the attainment of the SDG for quality education. So they are expected to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, to promote lifelong learning opportunity for all, as United Nations suggests in the 17 SDG goals. Because of time, I will not be able to annex all the points that I mentioned, that I have in my slides. But the fifth point is about gender equality. The world has made some, you know, as you agree with me, technology has improved. So there's a tremendous progress towards gender equality in recent years. More girls are now going to school. Fewer are forced to get married earlier, and more female representatives are in the parliament. You know, even in my country, Nigeria, we know what happened some few years ago, you know, about those that were kidnapped in the northern part of Nigeria. But we're happy that the government of Nigeria and other countries are making efforts to ensure that females are well represented, the opposite gender are well represented. But we are not yet close to gender equality with 1 in 5 women and children between 15 to 49, as suggested by World Health Organization and United Nations. So we will still notice physical and sexual assault by intimate partner, and this we want corporate or international organization to work on towards gender equality. And there are not even enough female leaders in political positions, as we have seen in my country, Nigeria, for example, and in other parts of the world. So we want to ensure fair hiring evaluations. This is a call to action to corporate organizations to ensure fair hiring evaluations, gender ratio, and rules and regulations to help you keep hiring process in check. This we also include training your HR team to identify and eliminate any gender bias in hiring process. Decent work and economic growth as the 8th SDG goal is also very, very important for corporate organization to leverage on towards the attainment of a sustainable development goal. Most people spend about 1/3 of their adult life in a workplace environment. For example, in Nigeria, you spend 35 years in service before you get retired. So most of your year will be spent in the workplace. So it is essential to ensure that people have a workplace conducive to maintaining good health And this is the responsibility of corporate organization and also international organization towards ensuring conducive work environments. So in conclusion, the roadmap to 2030 attainment of SDG goal is this. We have less than a decade remaining, and then more action is needed from all stakeholders to deliver on the promise of the United Nations towards the attainment of, Sustainable Development Goal SDGs. Why there is a clear indication, from the presentation that has been made and from the research that has been carried out, that private sectors is starting to leverage its expertise and assets to contribute to the SDG. Sadly, it's sad to note that available data suggests that companies are focused on few goals and are falling short in quantifying the business benefit for contributing to the attainment of corporate social responsibility or from attainment of sustainable development goal. As you can see on the screen, this is a Kenyan governor, which is subordinates. They are looking at the roadmap that can be focused on to achieve sustainable development goals. Other countries, other international organizations are expected or advised to take after Kenya, that has created a roadmap to the attainment of SDG goal come 2030. So there is always such a mismatch that raises a question about how robust and how mature companies, corporate citizens, and corporate social responsibility strategies are in order to effectively deliver significant contribution to achieving SDGs. So therefore, understanding the gaps that companies face in their corporate social responsibility strategies and in their pledges to contribute to SDGs is one of the first and most important steps towards the achievement of corporate social responsibility. So I want to advise corporate social responsibility to take to the advice, to the suggestions, to the recommendations that have been made so far, and recommendations that will be made by other eminent personality. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to be on this platform. I want to appreciate everyone on this call for honoring this invitation and for paying attention to my presentation. Thank you once again. My name is Professor Adeogun Kayode. I'm from Nigeria. I'm also a multi-award winning certified life coach and leadership coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Adeogun Kayode, for that wonderful presentation, quite extensive and comprehensive. You dealt well on the issue of corporate social responsibility for organizations to take notes in order to improve the 17 SDGs. You did well to mention a couple of few with relevant statistics. What stood to me is the one for education, 1 out of 5 children. So we have a long way to go, and I believe your presentation today will help many organizations listening to this conference. Wherever this conference, this recording will go to, we believe that people will take action and then do something meaningful with the improvement in our sustainable development goals to meet the target of 2030, and of course, elaborate more on our corporate social responsibilities. Once again, we appreciate you, Professor Dr. Kayode, my dear big brother and a mentor as well. Thank you very much. God bless you. Now, I would like to hand over to my co-moderator, Ambassador Shola, to introduce the next speaker.
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador Joel. Dr. Adeogun, I am really excited about everything that you have mentioned. And because you mentioned one of the SDGs to be gender equality, that is going to be making me today introduce Dr. Patricia Gonde. She said that mantra is a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. That's a quote by James Keller. And our aim is to be that candle that brings light into the world every day. In her field of work, she has helped students and staff to become better versions of themselves. Teaching has always been a passion, purpose, calling, and ministry. So I want to hand over the mic to our Excellency Dr. Patricia Gonde for her to also nourish us with the wonderful presentation that she'll be having for us today. Thank you very much, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sola Adiola, for that introduction. And may you just allow me just to share my screen for a moment. Allow me to share my screen.
Yes, please. You can share your screen.
It's okay.
You can share your screen now.
It's all right. All right. Thank you so much for the introduction. I am Patricia Gonde, Ambassador Dr. Patricia Gonde from Harare, Zimbabwe. And I would like to thank IIU for giving me this opportunity today to be sharing with you about corporate social responsibility and sustainable development, especially in international organizations. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge our Vice Chancellor, Sir Charles Eboria, who is amongst us, and all the speakers, esteemed speakers from all over the world, and our moderators. Thank you so much. And IIU, our founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit, who has made education is something that we can all get despite of our geographical boundaries. And thanks to SDG 17 for the partnership. That's why we are here today. Let me start by saying that corporate and social responsibility and sustainable development, like what my brother, Dr. Adiogun, Professor Adiogun, just said, is very crucial in today's world, as we have so many companies, so many individuals becoming more aware of their responsibility to create positive impacts on society. Thank you so much, Professor Adiogun, for tackling each and every SDG and how we as individuals can create that positive impact on each of the SDGs that we need to accomplish by 2030. And as you can see, corporate and social responsibility, it refers to the organization's voluntary actions to improve its social, environment, and economic impact on each and every society. And it involves on taking responsibility for the organization's impact on stakeholders, including employees, customers, suppliers, and the environment at large. And then looking now at sustainable development, of which my brother tackled very well, it refers to the a development that meets the needs of the society and of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations. We still have young children, we still have the future generation, which also need to live. So sustainable development, it involves balancing those 4 pillars, like what Dr. Charles has already talked about. And then it also refers, on the other hand, we are looking at corporate social responsibilities. We have international organizations who have been amongst us as well. And it means that our corporate organizations, they've got the responsibilities to operate in an ethical and sustainable manner. We have seen that so much of the time, there's so much interference, they face so many challenges, especially in our continent, Africa. They cannot operate without sometimes the interference. And then looking at the benefits of corporate and social responsibility and sustainable development, it helps organizations to build and maintain a positive reputation with stakeholders, and this then can improve customer loyalty. It can improve employee retention. I can mention, for example, in our school where I work, we do most of climate action change activities that we do. For example, if we go on a litter campaign, sometimes the corporate organizations, they come to join us. They are building and maintaining positive reputation, especially with the education facilities. Thereby, they also contribute. They give us exercise books, they give us pencils, scholarships, and so forth. And also organizations, CSR and SD, helps us to reduce cost and improve efficiency by implementing sustainable practices wherever they are operating at. And it also reduces waste and energy consumption. Like the litter campaign, it reduces waste in our communities, and we as communities, we should join them. And then also it helps organizations to comply with regulations and meet the expectations of customers, employees, and other stakeholders. So this is how it is important. It plays a critical role in promoting sustainable development by encouraging the corporate world to take responsibility for their impact on the society. We do have our corporate responsibility. Here in Zimbabwe, we've got Delta, we have SEEDCO. They've been doing a lot of sustainable development practices. And then, but we see that sometimes when the international organizations come into our countries, they meet a lot of challenges. For example, cultural differences, lack of resources, and maybe conflicting priorities. They are seen as some people who have come to destabilize, especially when it is during elections. They are looked upon as if they've come to influence, especially some political parties. So, for example, a company operating in a developing country may face cultural barriers to implement environmental practices. It can face cultural barriers to implement, for example, gender equality. In my culture, for us to be talking about menstrual hygiene sometimes is taboo, and if a company comes to say we've come to give you some sanitary wear, it's looked at as if there's something beyond what they have to do. So they face a lot of barriers. Then how can corporate social responsibility, can it incorporate sustainable development? We are looking at the 5 pillars like environmental sustainability. Corporate social responsibility can include initiatives aimed, for example, at reducing companies' environmental impact. This may include investing in renewable energy. We have got some companies in Zimbabwe like Econet, which has gone into investing in renewable energy, the solar energy, reducing waste and pollution. Here, again, I'm just giving an examples that happen in my country. For example, our president has declared each first Friday of the month to be on a litter campaign. So we have thereby reducing waste and pollution and promoting sustainable resource use. Then we have got another pillar on social sustainability, like what Dr. Charles has explained. So our corporate world can also support community development. For example, Right now, we have some documentaries that are being done of communities just to let people aware of what our communities are doing in terms of sustainable practices. Then the third pillar is on economic sustainability. So corporate social responsibility can also incorporate economic sustainability by promoting responsible business practices that consider the long-term impact. Then supply chain sustainability by working with suppliers, for example, to improve on environmental and social practices. And lastly, on sustainable products and services. Corporate social responsibility can involve developing sustainable products and services that meet the needs of the consumers, also while minimizing environmental impact. So you see that corporate social responsibility can play a very critical role in promoting sustainable development. Now moving on, looking at what some companies here in Zimbabwe have done, especially to promote sustainable development goals. We have a company called Econet Wireless, and it has implemented a range of corporate social responsibility initiatives like funding education. They've got a scholarship that they give to students who are very gifted students. And then we have they are also in healthcare. They are also in disaster relief efforts right now. 2 years ago there was cyclone in I. Those corporate organizations came in to also help out in disaster relief efforts. But we are not leaving this to corporate worlds. We as individuals can come in ourselves as well to help, especially in environmental sustainability. Right now, Malawi is having problems because of Cyclone Fred. What are we doing as individuals to help Malawi, especially? Mozambique also was one that was hit by the cyclone. Then we also have corporates like Delta Corporation, which has come in terms of renewable energy, supporting healthcare, education, drilling boreholes in our communities as well. And I can go on. SEEDCO, for example, has implemented a number of environmental sustainability, such as promoting sustainable agriculture practices, of which as individuals, we can also do. Sustainable agricultural practices can also start with us in our homes as well. And then developing drought-resistant seed varieties. So we have got Old Mutual, which has come in as well, with initiatives such as reducing greenhouse gas emissions, which are a problem, and promoting sustainable investment practices. I can go on and on. Then looking at how some companies have come in to promote social sustainability. For example, we have got banks like CBZ Holdings, which has supported education. It has promoted financial literacy. They've got programs that they are doing sporting activities, so that our children also have got time. They do not have time to engage in some dangerous practices. So they've supported sport, they've supported cultural events. And companies like Telecel, who have supported our youth development programs and promoted gender equality. So those are some of the programs, those are some of the companies that have helped, especially in social sustainability. But we also as individuals in our communities, we can help in promote awareness, especially that deals with social sustainability, especially with our children, our youth engaging in drugs. Sometimes they don't have any clubs or anything to do in the community. That's where one area that we can also come in. And then we have companies. Those are some of the activities that have been done. So I'm just going to tackle a little about the challenge that our international organizations are facing, especially in Africa, when it comes to implementing corporate social responsibility and sustainable development. For example, lack of infrastructure. Many African countries, they lack basic infrastructure such as roads, such as electricity, such as water supplies. So this makes it difficult for international organizations to reach those areas, especially in marginalized communities, because they do not have the resources they need to carry out the projects. I'm just going to, these are just key insights. And then political instability, which is a problem, and conflict. It has also made it difficult for international organizations to establish the long-term corporate social responsibility and sustainable development initiatives. And these situations increases the risk of corruption and making it challenging to ensure that funds are being used for their intended purposes. I can give, for example, there are some corporate organizations, there are some international organizations that have donated some money that is called BIM, for example, in Zimbabwe, but it is not reaching those intended purposes, corruption. And corruption starts with us. If we stop it, then it also stops in those organizations. Then, like I mentioned, cultural differences, then there's lack of skilled labor. This has made it difficult to find qualified staff because of the brain drain. For example, here in Zimbabwe, most of our children are going outside there. So sometimes they lack those skilled staff, and then financial challenges, environmental challenges, there are so many. So what is our call to action? As a society, we have got the responsibility to address the challenges being faced by these international organizations, especially here in Africa, when it comes to implementing corporate social responsibility. We need to support the organizations that are actively engaged by donating to these organizations or volunteering. For example, volunteering just our time, we can help them to continue their important work. Then we also need to, as individuals, as communities, we need to raise awareness of these challenges by sharing information and engaging in discussions like we are doing now about these issues. Then we can help them to promote greater understanding and supporting of these efforts. Then we need to advocate. We are the citizens of our different countries. We need to advocate for policies and practices that support corporate social responsibility and sustainable development initiatives in Africa. This can include lobbying governments, lobbying the business, our stakeholders to prioritize sustainable development and responsible business ethics. And then lastly, we need to educate ourselves. I think Dr. Elizabeth, our queen, explained on this one that we need to educate ourselves and others about the importance of corporate social. Learning more about this concept and their impact in communities and the environment, we can better understand. And then we need to take individual action to support corporate and social responsibility. This includes involving making our sustainable choices, sustainable living, sustainable agriculture, supporting businesses that prioritize responsible practices. Lastly, Mahatma Gandhi says, the future depends on what we do today. So in conclusion, the concept of corporate social responsibility and sustainable development are critical for the long-term success and sustainability of businesses and societies. So we need to take action today and work towards creating a world that is more socially and environmentally responsible, where sustainable development is at the forefront of all business practices. Thank you for joining us today and for your committing to creating a better world. Thank you so much. Thank you, IIU.
Wow, that's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Patricia Gonde, you nailed it with special reference to Zimbabwe, and for the wonderful corporate social responsibility undertaken by the country, and for international organizations who are coming over to make the country improved. Highlights of your presentation are some of the challenges that you mentioned that African continent, Africa countries have, difficult access to roads. It's common in Nigeria and in many parts of African countries. No amenities, basic amenities for those countries, for those external organizations to come in and really make good improvement. You also talk about improving agriculture, improving businesses, investing in human capital. That is very, 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 very important. Thank you so much, Dr. Patricia, for giving us an elaborate presentation on the topic at hand. God bless you, man. Our next speaker will be Professor Ravinda Rena from South Africa. He has been a very good friend of IIU. He is here present, and we are so much happy to have you, sir. And though I do not have a detailed profile of yours, you are a very good friend. I know you are doing wonderful well in your field of work. We are happy to welcome you to this conference to lend your voice on the topic at hand. Professor Ravinda, you're welcome.
Well, thank you, the moderator. Thank you, colleagues of IIU International Internship University from different continents, Zimbabwe to Nigeria and South Africa, India, and so on. Well, it's always indeed a proud privilege and honor for me to be part of the IIU monthly series, monthly webinar series that organized by our African continent and our leaders from different parts of Africa. I must congratulate that we are making this momentum to continue on regular basis, where other continents, they do struggle. They don't even have few events in a year or so. But I congratulate for the commitment of all our leaders and the country directors from different countries in the world to engage themselves and spare some time, share some of their insights. Now, today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, that was chosen is very, very important, that sustainable development, corporate social responsibility in international organizations. Now, what is this corporate social responsibility? Why these corporate sectors, they need to show their social responsibility or social impact that they need to create, or philanthropic impact that they need to create. Fundamentally, that all these private organizations, in business principle, when you are trying to do a business, there is always a motto behind that business is profit. It's not social welfare. It's not human welfare as such. It's just the profit. Whatever business, millions of business organizations that we have across the globe, they're running after the profits. That's why we say that P, and P. That is planet, people, and the profits. So people and profits, they're running after each other, but they are not bothering about the planet actually. That's where the sustainable challenges are occurring from time to time. We are digging our own graves, ladies and gentlemen. For the past almost 200 years, what is happening in this world, what we need to do as individuals and the companies that are responsible, we are not doing enough. Fundamentally, when the population is growing so fast one side, past 223 years, and whereas on the other side, the people and the organizations that are responsible for this kind of growth, the business developments, they are not playing their ethical roles, the human roles that they're supposed to play, the philanthropic roles that they're supposed to play, the environmental protection roles that they're supposed to play, and the legal, whatever, the economical, social, cultural roles that they're supposed to play. So everybody is just, as long as they make millions or billions at the cost of the people who are working for them, at the cost of innocent societies, they are just living around, and at the cost of this beautiful planet that we are living in. So they are just trying to be selfish and they're trying to take everything for themselves without looking at these people. Without these people, planet one side, the people who are working are probably residing and contributing on the other, even the customer base themselves. They are the people actually, they are the core of this entire business development. The millions or billions one is making. If somebody is a rich man with $200 billion, the $200 billion just do not emerge just like that. It is the people's sacrifices in different corners. It is the people's dedication that nobody bothers about. So eventually what is happening is that the social responsibility is missing. Now, we are talking about our previous speakers, eminent speakers, they also added a lot of insights here that Sustainable Development Goals, which was embarked by the United Nations, maybe 2015 to 2030. And how many years we left with? Only 7 years. The challenge arises here. Out of the 17 goals that we chose to achieve, and there are so many targets that we have in our hand, and all the governments, more than 200 governments across the globe, 200 countries and their governments, they're working upon. Is it possible for us to achieve about half of these goals, 50% of the goals? We are not talking about 17 goals as such. Hunger, zero hunger. Zero hunger is possible for us. And what we are doing, what this corporate sector one side, and to maintain this sustainability on the other side, what they are doing in order to achieve this zero hunger. Zero hunger is impossible concept, ladies and gentlemen. The reason and the poverty elimination, and we wanted to make the poverty into zero. And some of our colleagues, they are mentioning 756 million people are living probably with hunger and poverty and unemployment, and you name it, they have got all those problems. As a matter of fact, as an economist, a senior economist with about 31 years of experience, I'd like to mention here that in order to reduce this poverty, and the same United Nations, they started these goals, Millennium Development Goals in 2000, the year 2000, they started. 2000 to 2015. They also have the poverty. They wanted to reduce the poverty to zero level. And then now they started again 2015 to 2030. So almost 8 years finished. We left with 7 years, less than 50% of the time. And how many people they are still living below poverty line? Out of 8 billion people, ladies and gentlemen, more than 3.2 billion people literally living below poverty line. So economists, some of the economists, if there are any here, they do agree with me that United Nations, they wrongly calculate 15 years period to eliminate the poverty. If at all they are over ambitious to achieve this particular goal, and they do not invest enough resources, there was no enough commitment from the so-called developed world. The so-called developed world, they honestly should contribute at least 0.7% of their total GDP for the betterment of this particular cause. But not even 6 or 7 countries in the world, they could able to contribute that 0.7%. We need, even there was an estimate made by some of the economists a few years ago that they need at least $100 billion to eliminate the poverty here in this planet. Does it mean 100 billion is so much for us? Even Elon Musk himself, if he contribute half of his income, and we can eliminate the poverty. And all these rich guys, top 10 rich guys like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and maybe the Bernard, the richest man, and probably the other guys like Bill Gates, if they contribute, let them contribute at least 10% of their income. If they contribute 10% of their income, we can easily gather about 100 billions. And 100 billions would be sufficient for us to eradicate to a greater extent the existing deep-rooted poverty. But unfortunately, nobody is ready to come forward to do that. No government, they are earning trillions, like American economy is earning about 24 trillions per annum. That is their GDP. From 24 trillions, you're talking about 100 billions. How much is that? They are spending probably $2-3 trillion on Afghanistan war, or maybe war with other countries here and there, and probably the war that is ongoing war for the more than 1 year with the Russia and Ukraine. They could able to spend trillions of dollars on such kind of wars, but they are really not committed to eliminate the poverty and the poor people in this world. They need the poor people actually. Politicians sometimes they try to make themselves more richer when they are making themselves richer than the so-called entrepreneurs that we have, or the business community that we have. And politicians, one side is richer than the entrepreneur himself. And they always, these politicians, they don't want to produce the commodities and goods and services for the betterment of the people, ladies and gentlemen. They can only produce poverty. So obviously, I mean, with this kind of attitudes, we're not going to go anywhere. We are like flat tires. A flat tire, we all know that we are not going to go anywhere. Now we are spending so much money on this United Nations Millennium Goals, and we are talking about sustainable development goals. We are embarking a lot of strategies and programs and policies. But when it comes to implementation, we are not doing enough. So that's why there's a saying, that Persian saying, which says that think well is wise, plan well is wiser, and do well is the wisest and the best among all. But we are thinking well, we are also planning well, we are not implementing well at all. So whatever you think and whatever you plan, it is going to be in the dustbin, because it's not going to create any positive impact, actually. So in the interest of time, there's a lot to talk about. In the interest of time, that the concept of sustainable development is very, very important for us. Whether we are Africans, we are Asians, we are Europeans, Latin Americans, or Americans, or Australians, whichever continent we come from, we are living on the same planet. Whichever color we look like brownish, blackish, whitish, doesn't matter. But our continent, our mother planet, is a mother to every one of us here. If we do not safeguard our mother planet, definitely our mother planet is not going to safeguard us. As simple as that. The reason why I'm saying is this, ladies and gentlemen, that the mother planet can able to probably protect and also carry the number of people that are living on this planet is only 1.25 billion people. Today we got more than 8 billion people. Imagine 6.5, nearly 7 times more than the actual carrying capacity of our mother planet are living here. They're all excessive population. What is happening here for the past 20 years, you can recall that we have a lot of tsunamis, we have a lot of problems, we have a lot of man-made problems as well as nature-made problems. So they are trying to kill millions and millions of people one way or the other way. And even these so-called rich people, they wanted to eliminate the people, particularly from African continent. And they make sure that African continent remains backward even in the coming centuries. They don't want African continent to be developed. We all know that we are all rich people. We are fortunate to live in our beloved African continent, where it is a rich continent when you compare with the resources of the rest of the world. But unfortunately, our so-called global leaders, they see us, we are backward people, we are useless people, we are barbaric people. But they don't want us to be developed, but they want our resources for their own development. That's what is happening. Now, I just would like to cut short, because I know the time is very short and there are probably other speakers, that we have 7 years in hand in order to achieve our sustainable development goals. And how many countries they achieved all these goals, one has to question. And even in 2015, Millennium Development Goals most of the countries in the world, they didn't achieve. Even some of them developed countries also, they didn't achieve actually. So the targets remain targets. They're again going to another 15 years or 20 years agenda in 2030. So that is not going to be helpful. But we, the people of this planet, we are the ones should carry the responsibility, social responsibility. We are the one need to create the social impact. There are so many innocent people. Somebody is from America, from a developed country, Australia, coming and setting up a factory in Sierra Leone or Liberia or Malawi or Mali, and then it's a chemical factory. They are producing dangerous chemicals actually. And they are creating a lot of pollutions where our innocent people are getting affected by that. Even if they contribute almost 25% of their profits for making, they're not going to replace the health hazards that they are creating. So this needs to be very much all the environmentalists living in this planet, they need to work harder and they need to not to allow these developed countries or their industries to come and they create all this environmental pollution to our people and create a lot of health hazards to our people. So with these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that the developed countries or the international organizations like IMF, World Bank, African Development Bank, Asian Development Bank, OECD, G7, G20, all these international organizations, one side. On the other side, international multinational companies on the other side. They all should come to one platform. They all should try to contribute immensely, generously, and they all should fight for the poverty, for the hunger, for the environmental protection. Because the temperature in the first 100 years, from 1900 to 2000, the temperature grew up 1.2 degrees centigrade. From 2000 to 2100, in the coming less than 80 years, it's going to grow at the rate of nearly 2.6 degrees centigrade. So we are already in India, in other parts of the world, they have high temperatures, 47, 49, in some places, 50 degrees temperature. If we grow like this in the coming 100, 200 years, the human population living on this planet will be extremely difficult for them. That is why the population that we see here today, 8 billion, will become probably 4 billion or 5 billion in the coming 200 years. Actually. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we need to address these environmental issues one side, human developmental issues on the other. With these few words from my side, I'd like to thank Professor Charles and the team members of IIU. And I'm always grateful as a country director of South Africa to always take part in this kind of webinars and to share some of my views. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Prof. Dr. Ravinda Rena. It's always nice hearing you. You always speak from your heart, and some of your ideas and suggestions are born out of research. I so much admire your presentations whenever you come on board. I could recall what you said about you brought out the concept of SDG and corporate social responsibility from a totally different angle. You know, talking about us, talking about business owners, talking about companies. What are we after? We're after profits. That's all. We are not after building our world to make our places comfortable. You see people who are janitors working in a company, and then their house is tattered, they have no care, no housing allowance, no hospital bill allowance, and so many of those are basic things that could really help improve our system, which you have touched. And talking about international organizations, their contributions, the NGOs, the so-called big companies, they need to really be committed more. They are trying. Don't let us say they are not trying. They are trying, but we need more of it so that together, you said something very important. We are living in the same world. So why not join hands and make it a better place for every one of us, so that it is not only Africans that will be wanting to travel to America, to travel to Europe all the time. Europeans too may want to come to Africa and stay. We are in the same world. That is a great, great challenge to the whole world to listen to these recordings. Thank you so much, Professor Ravenda, for your presentation. God bless you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Our next speaker for the day is Professor Dr. Ambassador Maureen Mia. She's also from South Africa, and she's a global educationist. She's an empowerment specialist and motivational, transformational, mental wellness advocate. I am sure that our wealth of experience in motivational and transformational mental wellness will help us in this discussion of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Marilyn for our presentation on the topic of SDG and corporate social responsibility. Welcome, Professor Mary.
Thank you so much, my dear brother Joel, and to the co-moderator as well. I greet you all with the universal greeting of peace with blessings. Let me extend thank yous to IIU and our Honorable Professor and Sir Piyush Pandit, as well as our Professor Charles, who brings us all together once a month, especially on platforms like this where we can learn from each other. And as our dearest Professor Dr. Elizabeth Lucas said, we grow together as we learn together. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. To every esteemed speaker that spoke before me, I think every one of us has learned something from someone who spoke it, and we have many takeaways from today again. And like I always say, these platforms are great because while we learn from each other, we also take away little bits that we can take back into what to implement in our little homes, in our societies to make the difference. Because when it comes to sustainability, for example, it is not key for us to just talk. It is key for us to actually take something and start to implement, start to do something active with what we're learning. That's what is going to actually teach and grow others around us. So while we grow ourselves with whatever we have as a knowledge base, we also need to take that back into communities to actually become actively involved and see actions carried out, especially by our youth, because they're the ones who have to lead. They're currently leaders of today, they're preparing for tomorrow. And us who are leaders already need to make sure that preparation for our youth is what gets that responsibility part growing in the mindset, especially for our youth, so that they know it is up to them as well to take such responsibilities, to ensure communities are helped, to ensure your families are helped. Now, when it comes to today's topic, a wonderful topic, absolutely important, I just see it a little bit differently as opposed to not just about the SDGs. We have the SDGs, and I think it is very important for us to keep understanding that, but I said this in another webinar the other day. The SDGs have been here from 2015 or so. We're nearing 2030. We've got 7 years to go before that. And our question as leaders of today, no matter which portfolio you carry, the question is, how far are you as reaching any of those SDGs in your state or in your space? Because as far as I'm concerned, we're really far off from any target. We're actually moving towards many more negatives than we are towards positively reaching those targets. And the key for us then is for us to understand why. Why is there this massive gap? If we're so close to 2030, already we should be having many ticks on the target boxes of these SDGs. Right now, we don't have many of those ticks. We have many of the crosses on the checklist. And as leaders, we need to sit back and ask ourselves why. And for us to get those answers, we have to have honest awareness programs as to what is really wrong. Do your assessments in your area and find out where are we going wrong. I'll give you a quick, perfect example. If you look at the SDG that's dealing with education, one of the targets of that, and I'm not going to go through everything because I think we're all fairly aware of these things, but one of the targets of that, the education SDG, is to make sure we have safe schools and safe education facilities. If you look at between the start of the SDG program from the UN in 2015 to today, we've actually gone into reverse mode because nowadays our schools are not safe at all. Nowadays, the tertiary state institutions are not safe. The educators are feeling unsafe when they're going into schools, and lecturers are not safe to travel to schools. We're still seeing Thousands of children in Africa crossing streams to get to a school which is under a tree. So we are very far off from reaching those targets. And the reason everyone needs to figure out is why. Why are we so off the point? Why are we so off the mark with reaching these targets? Why are we going in the reverse? And it goes back to what our Honorable Professor Ravinder just said. It's because of the greed of society. It's because nobody wants to come together to actually work together to benefit humanity. Everybody wants to benefit each other so they can sustain themselves only. How then are we going to grow humanity if that is the mentality of those that are in power to make the changes? Go back to COVID, when the pandemic hit us all, what did we do? Many governments had the ideals when they sat in boardrooms to make sure ABC had to get done because my people needed to get seen to. By the time it got to ground root level to actually make the difference and impact in people's lives, it was already costing us lives. People were already dying because the implementation takes so long to be actively involved in ground level for people to see the difference. So what happened when the pandemic hit? Eventually, it took communities, it took frontliners who were human beings in communities, some of them not even qualified or certified, to decide, I am humane and I need to do something to impact people's lives. I need to make the difference. And NGOs started to be formed, communities started to get together, funds started to be raised by business people, the corporate sector, as in our title and topic for today. They got together and privately had to see to the needs of the people. Why? Because again, implementation takes too long. Administration takes too long. People's lives are at stake. We need to fast forward things to make sure people on the ground are seen to. Corporate meetings, boardroom level meetings, procedures that have been put in place for paperwork, we all understand the processes. But one needs to also understand at ground level, what is the need of a person in order for us to get what our topic of discussion is today. Sustainable development. How do we teach our people to sustain themselves? Example, I, for example, do a lot of humanitarian work. I went into a space once to actually just do feeding. The one house I went to actually drop off the food and groceries for the person has got fantastic soil around her home. She doesn't have grass, but she has beautiful soil. And the second month when we went to go and do that, I felt to myself, this is a woman who has these children. Yes, she's in need. But the soil is so beautiful for her to grow stuff. Let us rather, instead of dropping her off the groceries every month, bring her some plants, bring her some seeds for potatoes and tomatoes, and show her how to garden the stuff. Fast forward to today, that lady is sustaining her community with vegetable. That is what we call sustainable growth, sustainable development. It's not just about the SDGs. It's about teaching our people at community and ground level how to sustain themselves. Us just providing and constantly providing makes them become dependent on us. We need to take away that dependent streak, and we need to teach them how to depend on themselves, how to grow themselves. Sustainable development is about that as far as I'm concerned. It is about teaching someone how to develop and sustain yourself. In the topic of today, we go on to talk about corporate social responsibility. I think we've seen that in many structures. We've seen how corporates come to the party and take on the social responsibility. NGOs go to these corporate ladders and say, we need funding on a monthly basis because this is what we do. Corporates are doing that. But again, how many are wanting to join hands to do it, like a Professor Ravinder said? How many are wanting to come together to collectively do it? We hear of so many marketing strategies of where this person has done so much for this person. Why not all of these people come together, like he said, under one umbrella, and then start to transform lives, literally? Because that is a responsibility. The corporate social responsibility is there. They're reaching only certain areas. There are some people who are not being reached. There are some targets of SDGs that are not being dealt with. And we have to sit and do that assessment to find out why. The end portion of our topic today talks about international organizations. What better example do we have about an entity that is international, that is doing sustainable development programs, that is teaching corporate responsibility, that is teaching social responsibility? What better institution is there for us to use as an example than this esteemed organization of IIU? IIU is doing just that. And we're not talking about money. We're not talking about actual giving of money to people. We're not talking about a meal to a person, but IIU is actually using platforms like this one, which we are honored to be on, to educate people, so that they can learn about this development, how to sustain yourself, how to develop your sustainability and your growth for yourself and your family and your community. IIU is doing that. It's an international organization that is currently busy with how to teach corporates social responsibility. It is teaching us as leaders how to teach that responsibility to our people around us. And it's growing communities via programs like this. So those that are not online with us right now, tomorrow will view this. And from every one of our speakers today, they will take back something to help themselves, to help their families, to help the community. And that is how we build societies. That is how we build nations. So it is not just about the SDGs. Those SDGs are there. We're far off from those targets. We need to figure out why. Assessment is key. Awareness is key. But true, honest awareness is what's going to make the difference. True, honest reality checks are going to make the change. And that is when we're going to find how we develop our sustainable growth. How do we develop our corporates so that they can actually grow with their profits, but to benefit others, not just their profit in the bank account? How do we teach our children, our adults, our other people in our communities, how can they also take on a sense of responsibility for growth of humanity? Because that's what this is about. This is not about you growing your business to reach multiple 6 figures or 7 figures in your bank account. This is about how we can grow each other, how we can grow humanity. And that is what platforms like this are all about, which is why I'm so honored to be a part of it. So my take on today's topic, amazing topic. I took a different view because for me, it's not just about the SDGs, it is about actual sustainable development of a person. When we grow that person, teach one person how to sustain themselves, like the lady who now has a garden and can sustain her entire road of people, that is when we're actually growing and we're teaching people how to develop your sustainability. Then go back to that person and teach them a little bit of entrepreneurship, accounting skills. How do you manage a business? Grow these people in their areas to start to look after themselves and their people. And eventually the youth of those areas will do the same. It's a catalyst effect, because the responsibility is not just sitting in the corporate area. Responsibility is not just sitting with people with the current bank accounts. The responsibility is with each one of us to also do our bits to understand what is needed to make the changes. We don't want to always be going out to say, I need a handout to be able to survive. We need to be able to see, how can I survive? How can I make it work? What about me needs to change? What about my family can change? How can I make the difference? And these are reality questions that can be answered only by an individual. And it starts with that individual, one person. That lady who now has the garden, who feeds hundreds of people with vegetable, was somebody who never had a thing in her home to feed herself or 3 children. Today, by God's grace, she is able to feed not just her family, but many other families. And there are children now who are wanting to learn from her how to grow vegetables in their gardens. This is why sustainable development is so key. Sustainable development for not just a corporate social responsibility, just social responsibility, which helps to grow humanity. So thank you, IIU, for being that international organization we can look at as a fantastic example and role model. And thank you again to all the speakers of today, and especially Professor Charles for allowing us and giving me this opportunity to talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Mary. You've also brought another angle to this discussion. Fantastic, fantastic. We have a lot of creative presentations here. I want to thank you for lending your voice, your wisdom, looking at it from personal perspective now, learning how to sustain. You can see Professor Kayode is smiling. This drives home the point that we are all in it. Professor Kayode is a mentor to me. We do a lot of things together just to sustain ourselves. I have been in the school system. I'm very young. I'm less than 40. I have been in the school system. I've led a couple of schools, but then I began to think about it. Will I continue to be working full time and make just an organization, just a single organization to grow? What's the point? So I decided to move out. I decided to move out to help many organizations with the little experience I have to be able to help many. So I go sometimes, I do free trainings. I do free trainings for educators. I do free training for school leaders. There are some that are paid ones. Professor Kayode also does that. So I think what you have given us today, Professor Marion, is something we need to go home with, to be able to take it in that we are responsible for this development we are talking about. We are responsible. And this is a call to our friends and brothers who are in the diasporas and abroad, who have been able to make something to come back home and invest and build schools and build hospitals and do vegetables like you rightly pointed. I love that example. Vegetables to feed families, to feed nations. And we can do it. That's the truth, is that we can do it. Like Professor Elizabeth will say, we can do it. So if we put the right mindset to it, I know we will work together and achieve great, great, great success. Thank you so much, Professor Merrin, for your valuable presentation. We appreciate you. Thank you. I think we see one more person to go. Professor Cello was supposed to give his presentation. I think he said he was busy. Hope he comes soon before we conclude. And then Professor Abochi Kofi was supposed to be around too, but it's not here. We have Ambassador Tatenda Mpofu on the call. Ambassador, if you are here, we would like to have you share your knowledge on the topic at hand, sustainable development and corporate social responsibility in international organizations. If you can hear us, Ambassador Tatenda Mpofu, the floor is yours to make your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Jowo. Unfortunately, today I wasn't prepared enough. So today I took the chance of this learning. But anyway, thank you for the opportunity. I will make sure next time I'll be able to see my views and thoughts.
Okay. Are you okay? I can't hear you very well. Did you say you were in a conference or in a meeting?
No, I'm not in a conference. I was saying that today I'm not adequately prepared. I took the chance to just listen and learn today.
Okay, Ambassador. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are waiting for Professor Charles to join us back. We've had an exciting time from able speakers, Dr. Patricia, Professor Ravinda, Professor Marin, Professor Dr. Kayode, wonderful speakers, wonderful presentations that we had today. How I wish that CNN could capture this conference and broadcast it to the whole world. The kind of information we've been able to gather together today. It has been wonderful. It has been mind-blowing. And we want to appreciate IIU, the International Internship University, rightly quoted by Professor Marin and Dr. Patricia, for the wonderful job they are doing. IIU International Internship University has been in existence for quite some time now during the pandemic, and they have made tremendous progress. 195 countries, 6 continents, and wonderful seminars, over 3,000 courses and all that. That's remarkable. That's contribution to human capital development. That's contribution to education. And whatever you contribute to education, you are contributing it to other spheres of the SDGs. If somebody is educated, poverty will be alleviated. If somebody is educated, there will be equality. If somebody is educated, there will be zero hunger, and so many things like that. So education is key. And we on this platform, we have lent our voices that it is possible for us to have, this sustainable development. It is a reality. It is something that can be executed. even though we are 8 years to go to fulfill those goals. Maybe we should give ourselves some targets on a personal ground and then give ourselves some projects to do. Okay, how many people do I want to affect, that do I want to contribute to? How many organizations do I need to affect so that in my own part, I will be able to say, I have contributed to the social development and sustainable development goals, and also corporate social responsibilities. We see it happening on the road. Our roads are not well, our roads are not bad. What are the connections that you and I have to the Prime Minister, to the infrastructure minister? What are the connections that we have? We begin to make use of those connections to get things done, even though our names are not mentioned, but that things are getting done and we are seeing the result is fantastic. It is just like a teacher who is in the classroom, is taking time to build the life of that child. He doesn't know where the child will be. And someday and somehow he finds the child leading a big corporation and then comes back to thank him and say, thank you very much for your contribution in my life. Every doing, every action, every step that we take is contributing towards social sustainable development. We may not see the result now. We are planting the seeds, so let's keep planting. Some may actually fall on good grounds and they will germinate. They will bring us the fruit that we all desire. We have a future that our country will be better. We have a future that our world will be better. We have a future that things will come better. In Africa especially, where we have a lot of struggles. Recently, I learned about Vietnam. Vietnam is a country with less population than Nigeria, with less economy than Nigeria, but they are able to thrive to the extent that they can survive. You can see, they can survive. They've been able to come together to make the economy vibrant. And so many people from African countries are trying to go to Vietnam to look for jobs. A country that is less in economy than Nigeria, than South Africa, they are surviving. Who says Africa cannot survive? Who says Nigeria cannot survive? Who says South Africa cannot survive? Who says Togo cannot survive? Every one of us can survive if we are able to adopt these sustainable development strategies as shared by our wonderful speakers today. We will definitely go places. We will definitely go around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you, and our Professor Charles Ebiora is here to give us the conclusion to this wonderful conference. That this conference will have been actually captured by CNN. It has been a wonderful time sharing from experts, from our able excellencies. Now the floor is given to our Professor Ebiora to give the closing remarks before we have the closing prayer by Professor Dr. Kayode. Thank you, Professor Ebiora.
Thank you very much. God bless you. I need to appreciate every one of you. God come to sustain us, as we all know that we had a very good occasion today. Actually, yeah. I'm thanking God and appreciating IIU and all the team for this noble occasion. Thank God for every one of you, and I pray that God will going to empower you with His wisdom, with His anointing, Amen. With every blessings that we need for us to go about testifying His greatness and His power.
Amen.
I appreciate the speakers. I appreciate the moderator who will come to bless you. Amen. I appreciate everyone that contributed in one way or other through watching the program, through looking at all the things that we have done so far. And I pray that we have discussed all this. We'll go about testifying the goodness of God, and we'll go about empowering people. Sociability, we can actually do it. With our own cooperation, we can do it. 2030, we actualize the goal, we'll get to the goal. It has to do with sacrifice, commitment. We need to sacrifice a lot of things. The implementation aspect, we can do it. We only need to surrender ourselves, be dedicated to it, be committed to it. We'll make it. Even though we fail to do it, within 2 years, we can do it. It only requires sacrifice. What I only advise is measure should be put to those who violate the something. That's the only way we can, because we need iron hand. We need people who come and implementation. Whoever failed to implement it, this is what is going to sanction the countries. We do it. 2007, yes, it's very close. But at the same time, we still need to do it by maybe compilation. We need to compare. So sanction should be given. I believe we are only greedy. It's greediness that is causing all these things. People are not implementing. It's greediness. We don't need to be greedy. Since we want our planet to be good, since we want good to have this, where everybody wants good thing, every one of us want to be happy. So I thank you all. IIU, thank you very much for this great opportunity. All our IIU call team, thank you very much for your support. I know next month will be better than this month. My moderator, thank you very much. May God come to sustain you as you keep making yourself present here. Next month will be powerful. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Amen. Thank you very much, Professor Eboria, for this concluding remark. We would like to give the opportunity for closing prayer. Please, after our closing prayer, we would like to take a screenshot. If you don't mind, kindly stay on the call so that we can all have ourselves captured with our videos. Now, Professor Kayode will give us the closing prayer.
Let us pray. We return thanks to you, our Heavenly Father. We thank you for this day and for this opportunity, and also for this platform that you have been using over the years, International Internship University, to disseminate the important message of using education to help others to understand the importance of contributing to human capital development. From today's deliberations, we have seen the importance of leveraging on corporate social responsibilities by international organizations, and how individuals can also make efforts towards the attainment of the SDG goals. Thank you for these successful deliberations. Thank you for all the participants. We appreciate all the facilitators for the effort they have made and the recommendations they have also suggested too. May you help us to apply what we have learned today, and also make necessary adjustments in our community at the international level and whatever connections we have to ensure that we implement the SDG goals before the due date 2030. We also appreciate our founder, Sir Piyush Pandit, for creating this platform for us to use it to help others to know more about what is happening in the world. Thank you, God, for this opportunity to approach you in prayer. Thank you for everybody, and thank you for the whole world that we are enjoying relatively peace. And when we are having challenges in Sudan, for example, and some other countries, we pray that you allow peace to reign there so that they can also enjoy peace. Thank you for this opportunity to approach you in prayer. Through Jesus Christ, our now reigning King, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Shall we turn on our videos so that we can have a caption, all of us? Let's turn on our videos so that, thank you all. Okay, I will try and capture. That's okay. I like that's taking another one. Just want to do another one quickly. Right, that's better. So here it goes. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for attending this program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good one.
Thank you so much.